Hello, my name is Violet Nwokea for Wade. Welcome to Nwokea Podcast. Today we have a very special guest, and I'm going to have him introduce himself. First, his name is Khayri. But Khayri, welcome. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, thank you so much. You're too kind. Also, I'm not too special, but my name is Khayri Carter. I'm 26 years old, originally from, born in East Lansing, Michigan, moved to Sacramento, California for most of my life, now living in San Diego, California. I'm currently working as a community representative for the council member serving the 5th District of City Council, San Diego. So I'm about a year and a half into local government and political work, but in the past, I played a lot of sports. Pretty much my whole life, that was all I did was play sports. Then went to college, worked in athletics at San Diego State. That's how I came to San Diego, and I've kind of just stuck around here doing a lot of different types of things for the last 4 years or so since I left San Diego State. So that's the long and the short about me, I guess.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Khayri, for accepting my invitation for you to join our conversation on the podcast, Wellbeing podcast. Um, Thank you. I've known you for
No,
about,
thank you.
you're welcome. I've known you for about, I would say about a couple of years now, about 3-4 years, would you say?
Yeah.
Yes. And in that short period of time, I know your family, I know your mom. Your mom is my great friend. And I've actually done a podcast on your mom. I don't know if you ever had a chance to watch that.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I have to follow her, so that's great.
So after this, I'll send it to you. I did a podcast on, introducing my friends. And I started with my longest friend and went, towards my newest friend. And your mom was one of my newest friend at that time. And it was kind of a gratitude Zoom where I wanted to recognize and appreciate my friends, because a lot of times, we go through life, we do not really appreciate our friends. And I wanted to take the time to appreciate some of my friends that I've had over the years. And your mom was one of them, one of my special friends. So after this, I'll send you the link. And you
that's very nice of you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I believe that we are all in this space where we connect with different people, and it's always a gift to be able to come in contact with some people that you connect with, and then you become friends, and then life carries you through, and you go through a lot of things with those people. So you happen to be one of my young friends, I would say, that I've connected with. And then when I asked you if you would like to join our conversation, I have to say I'm grateful that you said yes. So since then we said, okay, we're gonna just have an open conversation and we can discuss about different things. And we talked about different topics that we can, conversate about. And knowing the atmosphere of what's going on um, since last week, since last couple of weeks, I would say that if it's okay with you, we can pick any topic that you are interested in, that is in your heart at this moment. So can I have you lead and tell me which one you want to talk about?
Sure. I guess, we spoke on the phone earlier, there's a ton to choose from, unfortunately, and fortunately right now. But I guess one I would pick would be certain states and legislators kind of removing and banning Black history and text containing or explaining Black history or prohibiting folks from teaching or speaking about even at times Black history. I think that's extremely important. So we can start there.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, that is one of the topics that, when I heard about what's happening there, it's not funny, but it is. I never thought that I would be in America where, such conversation or such cases will be happening where some political people will be saying, no, we cannot have such books in school or such discussions to be discussed in school, because I thought America is one of those places where you actually want your people to be educated on all levels. As those who know me, I immigrated from Nigeria, West Africa, to America more than 40 years ago. And, so back in Nigeria, we think America, or we thought that America was a place where you can discuss anything, you can learn anything. It's an open space that welcomes everybody. So to fast forward in 2023 to then be dealing with what is happening in Florida, where critical race or some books that discuss about African Americans or Black history not to be taught in school to me is like a foreign concept, right? Because you want your people to be educated on any level, on all level, so that when you have more educated people on different topics, then you will be able to make decisions that will enlighten, or you make decisions that will be inclusive of everybody that live in that community, in this case in America, right? And if you want to compete on the world stage, you really want your people to understand the history of everybody that lives in their country, so that they will be able to make intelligent decisions on the world stage, you will think.
You would think.
So what do you think about it? What do you think is going on as a young person?
I think it's important to give the young person's perspective, because I think most people, especially young people, think of racism or anti-Blackness or kind of like you were saying, just the ideology in general, that, or the inverse of the ideology you were saying, which was we want to be kind of more global and open and open to learning. These folks are the opposite of that. So you said you came from Nigeria to America over 40 years ago. I've just turned 26. I've been in America the whole time, and this is all I've known. So it's kind of just a continuation and a remix, I would say, of the same old same.
Right. So to you, being 26 years old, this is all you've known. Are you saying that them trying to ban the study of the African American or Black history or critical race in school you've always known that since you were born?
Not since I was born, but obviously as I got older, and my parents being Black, not necessarily that matters, but they did teach me about Black history, about world Black history. There's Black people all over the world. That's important as well. But in terms of America, especially in school, yeah, it was never. It's funny that they're trying to ban it when they never taught it in the first place. Like, think about, I'm learning things at home. I go to school. I'm learning basically that never happened, or a different version of the stories I'm learning at home, or the books I'm reading at home, stuff like that. So again, it's kind of the same old same, but now they're kind of bringing it to the national stage, bringing it to the legislation, literally. So yeah, now it's I think it's time that it's no longer a thing that my parents or my parents' parents had to fight or were fighting. We also have to fight on all levels, not just with police or other things. Like it's in education, it's everywhere. So I think it's important, like I said, to bring a young person's perspective that it's not new. So we should be ready and equipped to battle these things.
Right, and so it's like, you know, like I said, I came over 40 years ago. It seems like on all levels there has always been fights. There has always been, you know, your parents, parents, your grandparents, you know, has struggled all their life to have this, you know, to be able to be educated, to be able to go to school, to be able to read and write, to be able to vote, to be able to, it's like at every level, there's always this fight to be able to do the things that everybody else is doing, all the Americans are doing. But when it comes to the blacks, they are always fighting to be able to participate in the things that everybody else is doing. It sounds like, you know. And now, for the teaching of their history, the African American or the Black history, or to celebrate the Black History Month, to be able to teach about them, their history in the schools, is now an issue that they are trying to legislate, regulate, so that it doesn't get taught, so that everybody do not study the history of the Black American or the African American or the blacks in general. It seems like it's a why, you know, it makes me wonder, what are you afraid of? Why are you afraid to understand what the history is when everybody else's history is being taught? Why is this one so, why are you afraid of this particular one being taught in school? I wonder.
Well, I think they finally, like I said, they finally brought it to the national stage, the national conversation, when they, being these conservative and Republican legislators, they say, you know, they don't want to make their children uncomfortable. Our children, obviously, they say, but they don't want to make our children uncomfortable. They don't want them to know the true history because they know that it would make them uncomfortable, and that they would then, in turn, do something about these systemic issues and these systemic problems, right, that they would then learn about. Again, it's kind of the same old same. Like, I learned slaves weren't allowed to read. There's a reason for that. You know, what you learn, what the Bible really says, or you learn what books really are talking about, the system wouldn't be the way that it is anymore, and they wouldn't like that. That wouldn't be beneficial to them. So again, it's that remixed into 2020, 2023, whatever you want to say. But yeah, CRT or banning books or whatever they want to put on it, it's the same old same, really. So again, I just think that we should all, again, I'm saying we as Black people, or me as young people, or young Black people, whatever you want to say, but it's here. Like, it's now. It's a thing of our time, not a thing of the past. So it's more like, what are we going to do about it, as opposed to how do we feel about it, or what do we think about it? You know, it's here right now.
And it has to be dealt with. And it's, you know, it's for all the young people, whether you're Black or white or whatever your race is beneficial for everybody, for us to be able to say, no, we want to learn the history of everybody that make up this country. You know, this kind of reminds me, I remember when I came, and I think I may have shared with you in the past, when I came to United States, I actually came to Texas because my family was there. So I remember coming to Texas, and mind you, in Nigeria, we have no idea about racism. We know tribalism, but we didn't know about racism. I didn't, at least I didn't
Especially
know.
not American white on black racism.
Right. Yes. Until I came to Texas, and I remember one of the first time that a white person said to me, "Wow, I like you because you're different." And I go, "What do you mean I'm different? Different from what?" Right? Um, and he said, well, different from, first he said, "I like your accent." And I said, "Oh, thank you." And he asked me where I was from, and I told him, and he said, "Oh, no wonder you're different." And I then asked, "Different from what?" And he said, "Different from African American." And I go, "How am I different?" Because for me, when I came to this country, the first people that actually received me, accepted me, and helped me was African American, this African American woman who received me as her sister, okay? And she embraced me, and she was able to help me navigate living in America. So when this guy was telling me that I was different from this sister who received me as her sister, I was taken back. And then I pursued to ask how I was different. But it didn't take me long to recognize that what he was trying to do to me, or to kind of insinuate and implant, is a division. Because if I start thinking that I am different from you or from any other black person or African American, then we will not be able to unite and be able to share our common things, the things
Exactly.
that unite us. So it didn't take me long to pick that up, and I was like, wow, why would this person, go out of his way to plant this in me? What is he trying to accomplish? What is his goal? And again, I came to realize the goal is division. And the more that we are divided as people, then, we'll be fighting instead of us supporting each other and uplifting one another and learning together to grow as human beings and to share the resources that are available to all of us. Right? So,
Exactly.
so that was my first inclination, that there is this idea to sow division between African Americans and the other Africans, immigrants that came to this country. So of course, to me, I am no different than any black person. We are all black, right? And and I'm not different from any race, especially minorities, because we are here looking for better education, better way of looking at life, learning how to improve ourselves so that we can help each other, whether each other is our people that are here in the United States or our people that are in Africa, in other countries, or other continents, right? We are all human beings who are looking to be part of a system that says you matter, you are a human being, you deserve to have good education, you deserve to read, you deserve to learn the history of your ancestors, you deserve to learn the history of other people's ancestors. That is education, that is growth, that is the only way the world can work together to eradicate whatever problems we are all facing. To me, that's what I think. So to see our elected officials who who are in position to make decisions that will affect us to then say, no, we are not going to study, we are not going to allow certain books and educations that will enlighten all Americans, whether you're black or white or Asian or whatever, to learn that so that we'll be able to understand each other, where we're coming from, and be able to work on issues that affect all human beings. It baffles me.
Yeah, in theory, it's perfect. But then in reality, it just doesn't work that way. And like you said, we have not only your average day-to-day citizens, but now you have elected officials fighting against that, again, ideology or that way of living. So, yeah, and then obviously everyone has jobs and families and issues and things going on, so it gets distracted, and the division you speak of is everywhere. So it gets kind of diluted and washed away. But yeah, it's why it's important to keep it on the tip of your tongue, so to speak. Keep it on the forefront of things. Keep this fight, these types of conversations alive. Because if not, like you said, it'll get washed away, and then we're just in the same old BS. So
right, and and if you're not educated, you're just moving around, and people are telling you, oh, you don't have, oh, don't worry, we'll take care of that for you, right? And if you're not educated enough, you will not be able to ask questions. So it's good that we keep talking about things like this and keep making sure that our elected officers, officials, are doing the right thing by making sure that the history of all the people that make up America, all their histories, especially the Black Americans' history, is being taught in school. That the children, whether you're black or white or Asian or or European, you understand the history of all the people you're dealing with, your neighbor, your co-worker, because the more you understand it, then the more you even understand that there are more things in common with all of us than divide us.
right.
Right.
But even the problem is, and what I kind of mentioned before, they didn't really teach the true history of things in the first place. Like, even if, let's say, you go to Stevenson School, or like myself, you go to Jesuit High School in Sacramento or Sacramento Country Day School. These are like some of the highest educations you can attain in your areas. So you still wouldn't get the proper history and knowledge of your people, our people, their people, whoever's people, whoever, the history of things is written through a certain lens. So it's hard to even, like I said, even when you try to attain the highest forms, of most expensive forms, whatever you want to say, forms of education, you still aren't going to get it. So that's why they're banning it, but they didn't teach it in the first place. So that's why we're so far behind where we should be. We're kind of getting further away, it seems. So like I said, it's kind of more alarm bells should be going off for more people. But this is a conversation that should be had more often, for sure.
Awesome. Well, I thank you for raising that particular issue, because that is what's happening now. Another topic that and we'll keep talking about this, because it's as we follow the news, we follow what's going on. People should be more aware of it, and hopefully, when people are voting, they will understand that this is one of the things that they should put into consideration when they are voting their people in certain offices, right? So the more we talk about it, the more everybody will be aware that this is if it's not important to you today, trust me, it's gonna be important tomorrow, because
Exactly.
yeah, so we need to stay on top of it and make sure that it's something that is like you said, even in private schools, if books, if some topics are being banned, and you and I know we spend so much money to go to private schools, and if our kids are not learning the things that will empower them to be able to ask questions, that will empower them to be able to know the history of themselves and of other people in the country, then where are we heading to? So we need to keep on. We need to keep pushing for that. We shouldn't be quiet. We shouldn't. It's a topic that is there to us, to all of us, that our children understand what their history is about. For me, for for an immigrant like me who came, yes, I know some of my history, but I'm telling I still try to go back to understand some of my history, some of my ancestral history, because in Nigeria, when I came, a lot of things are not documented. So luckily we had a lot of brilliant people who documented a lot, but there are still a lot that are not documented. And when you lose your parents or your grandparents and elderlies, you lose a lot of your history if you don't document them and then share them through school, through churches, through organizations, or what have you. So it's very important that we all know our history. And I think that's one of the things that when I was connected with my special friend that did a lot for me, she was asking me a lot of questions about Nigeria, and I was answering her. She said it was totally different from what she was seeing on TV. Or what she was, what was told to her. She had no idea that even in a place like Nigeria that we spoke English. She goes, "Wow, you speak good English," even though with my accent. And so I had to tell her, "Oh yeah, we used to be British colony, and English is the language that is our national language, believe it or not. Even though we have so many of our own languages, but English is what we use to communicate amongst the different tribes." So of course, when you travel out, you speak English, you have your accent, but you understand the English because that's what we use in school. And she thought, wow, if you say you're from Africa, you're from Nigeria, that you have a different language, which we do, but you wouldn't understand English, you wouldn't understand a whole lot of stuff, and so she and I started asking, why is it then that the story that is being portrayed about the Africans are different from what the real Africans are? Because it's not the Africans that are telling the story. It's somebody else taking our story and then telling it in a way that kind of dehumanize the Africans in a way, and dehumanize the African Americans that are here, who are our cousins and relatives that were brought here, not because they wanted to, that was enslaved here, right? So if you are meant to think that where you came from, they are all like monkeys and barbarians, they don't, do a whole lot of things. Maybe you think, okay, if I'm being treated badly here, it's better that I'm here than going back or finding where my people are, because they are not better off, But when you come to hear that, no, even though, yes, it's not perfect in African countries like in Nigeria, there are so many things that could be better, but we have a history, we understand our history. So the African Americans should also understand their history. I'm very interested. I want to understand their history. I want to tell their history to my children who are Americans who are born here, right? The more all of us understand that, then the more we see each other as humans, with different backgrounds. And I think that's what makes human beings unique. All of us cannot be the same, but we cannot diminish any of us, right? It's not the same, but none of us have the right to diminish or not to tell the true story, the true history of the true story of our history. So we have to start telling our own story. We have to start telling our history. We cannot be quiet. So you, the young people, don't be quiet. I'm glad you chose that topic. Don't be quiet. Keep searching, keep asking, keep pushing, keep voting for the people who will make sure that everybody's history is told correctly and through the right lenses, through the people who know the history and who are willing to tell the true story of their history. So let's
Amen.
let's keep pushing on that. So thank you for for bringing up that topic. Another one that interests me is, of course, we know that there's been a lot of killing. The killing is still happening of young black men. And I did one podcast when one young guy was killed, and I've forgotten his name. I have to go back to that podcast. And this was like 2 years ago. And and what struck me is that kid could have been my kid, it could have been your brother, it could have been any of us, right? That had happened to a young man who was driving a car, and he was pulled over because of his license plate, if I remember the story correctly, and he ended up being killed. And I'm going, wow. How does this happen? And so since that time, of course, many stories, many killings has happened, and it makes you wonder, when is it going to end? Is it ever? And talking about the systematic racism is when the person who started the racism doesn't even have to be present for that racism to continue. It's like an organism that must exist, and it doesn't matter, who is carrying
the host.
It doesn't matter who the host is going to survive. That's what it seems like to me. So, how do you feel about what's going on? As a young person, and the guy that just got killed is almost your age, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to speak about, hard to think about, hard to watch. I tried to not watch the video, still got out, still had to see it on my phone or on TV or whatever it was. Like you said, it's hard to even comprehend that it's possible that it ends at any point, given that, like I said, I'm 26 now, and it's been every other week since I was born. So I mentioned that I grew up in Sacramento, but I did live full-time briefly and split time for many years between Oakland and Sacramento. I was there when Oscar Grant was killed. I was there for the riots and the protesting and the marches and everything. And I was 2005. I was pretty young back then, but it's like you see what's going on. And I think in that case, there was a black officer involved as well. So you learn pretty quick that it doesn't really matter who is doing it, who has the badge. It's kind of just the system is what it is. but it sucks. Like now I am of age to start my own family, and it's like, how do you bring anyone along with that looming, or it's looming over me too. So I don't know. It's hard, like I said, it's hard to speak about, hard to even comprehend. I work for city council in San Diego. These are major issues affecting our city as well as they are affecting every city. I mean, and we are almost as dumbfounded, just as dumbfounded. It's pretty remarkable. It's pretty, again, it's just like hard to even comprehend the weight of it. I remember this wasn't necessarily the police doing the killing, but the Ahmaud Arbery situation, that video especially was hard to see. George Floyd was just a couple years ago. It was 9 minutes of terror. I mean, the list goes on and on. I worked for social media agency briefly. We did this, I guess, Black History Month memoriam motion graphic piece, and I was tasked with sourcing some names, and it ended up being a lot of names. And then you just kind of think about each of the families, each of the instances, each of the people. It really doesn't get. It just gets worse every time. Now it's like I don't even read articles. I used to really dive into it in high school and in college and such. Like I said, I actually left creative agency to work in local government and politics and such, because I was just so angry, to be honest with you, that things weren't changing, and I was just sitting there kind of looking at everything, and it's kind of like, who am I to sit around and not do anything? And I'm not necessarily at risk of getting killed tomorrow, but I mean, I see these faces, they look just like me. Some of the names are similar to mine. You see the parents and the families speaking on the news, or just in general, pictures of people crying or at memorials and stuff. And it's just like, again, how many more? But then just like mass shootings, like you just retweet something and then next day comes and it's the same old same. So it's sad that I'm so desensitized to it. It's sad that, again, it's there's no end in sight, even in 2023, even with body cams, even with all these changes to police practice. Hopefully there more are coming, but I don't know. It's also frustrating that when you learn that police were created to wrangle and kill Black people. So, I mean, it's like, is it really that crazy to see what's going on? It's frustrating on many levels. So that's I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, it's yeah. We're back. So yeah, that was a heavy one for me.
Yeah.
You know, so tell me, as when you talk to other young people like you about what's going on, what do you think? Are they feeling the same way you're feeling? What do you hear from the other young people?
I'd say most people aren't really fully aware of a lot of the things that we've mentioned. And it's sad to say, even if some that are just so wrapped up in their lives and for whatever reason that they just don't even have time to care about it. I mean, a lot of young people are struggling like myself. So it's hard to, like, all this passion and anger we have. You still have to go to work. You still have to pay the bills and such. So that's a big problem, I would say. Another, again, not their fault. They just don't know. So the education aspect, like, they just weren't given the the knowledge and the history and the tools and the resources to be fully aware. So yeah, I mean, it's all across the map. The issues are everywhere, but yeah, I don't know. Young people, it's kind of been, like I mentioned earlier, somewhat ingrained that we kind of don't have to pay attention to this sort of stuff. It was kind of a thing of the past, like civil rights movement, slavery, all that stuff was, that was way back when. You see the black and white photos, you see the presidents or whoever, people of the past, and it's over. Kind of that's the mentality that they try to push on folks, I guess I could say. And then, like you kind of mentioned earlier, you don't see black faces a lot of places. You don't see black history a lot of places. You don't see people that have done amazing things that aren't white Americans. So it's hard for a lot of people to even see hope. It's hard for people to understand that things are possible for them, not just themselves, but people that look like them. So that leads people astray as well. I mean, yeah, it's hard. It's hard out here. I don't know. It's like I know that I can only control what I can do, and I control what I can control. But it is frustrating at times that others aren't kind of feeling the same pressures. Because I don't know. Yeah, it's life or death for me. So can't get much more pressure than that.
Right. Yes. Ooh. And you know, and for those who, for those young people like you who notice what is going on, who are aware of what is going on, you're frustrated. How do you handle the frustration? The frustration leads into sometimes depression, would you not say?
Yeah.
How do you handle that? What are the tools?
That's a great question.
Yeah. What are the tools that you use to handle that?
I mean, on a day-to-day, just being active. I try to take a walk in the morning. I try to listen to music pretty much all the time. I try to work out regularly. I try to enjoy myself when I can. I like to watch sports. I like to kind of just relax at times and not, sports especially help with that, not think about all the things that are happening on a day-to-day. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it is, for me, I'm just always been the person that work is the only way out of things. So like I kind of mentioned earlier, I used to do more social media, marketing, creative related things. But I just got so angry and fed up. I just quit like February 2021. And then October 2021, I got the job I currently have. And I've been rolling ever since. And on top of that, obviously just trying to learn as much as I can about everything. But yeah, a lot of it is I can't feel stress if I'm doing something about it. So, yeah, it sucks. Like I said, I can't, I feel out of the fight, but I try to do what I can. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot. So sometimes you kind of just have to take some time and realize that I am still breathing. I am still here. I still have a job. I still live in San Diego. I still, am able-bodied, able-minded. So I try to be appreciative of what I have. And then on a day-to-day, like I said, just try to do little things to manage as I go. But the weight's always there. The pressure is always there. So I feel that if I'm working towards something on a daily basis, then I can't necessarily be too worried about outcomes, especially if they may or may not be out of my control. So
right. And do you think that some other young people like you who may not, how do we share or spread some of these tools to more younger people so that they do not, because there are so much going on all the time. A lot of the killings, a lot of the discrimination that is happening everywhere. It's like any corner you turn is, things are happening towards certain group that that at times you feel like there is no light at the end of the tunnel. How do we share some of these tools with those young people who are going through the same thing you are going through?
I mean, it's definitely not easy, and I think there's a lot of different ways to attack that question or those questions. I think one is just hope, instilling hope. One, there's people before you that have done it, therefore you can do it too. And two, providing the knowledge and the history. If people know where they came from, know who they are, they're more inclined to act on it. So, yeah, I think those are two big things I would say.
Okay. So which, the history, the knowledge, the education, which is what they are fighting for, um, uh, uh, because the more the young people know about their history, the more they get educated, the more they feel that they can openly discuss, right? They can openly discuss what is going on, the better. Because if people, if especially the young people think, that it's not being discussed, or they don't have the access, they don't think that other people are going through the same thing they're going through, they think it's them, right? It becomes, how come I can cope when other people are not having, I'm the one having the problem. So how do we share, do you have support group? You as a young person, do you young people, do you guys have your support group where you can openly talk about what's going on?
I can't speak for really anyone else but myself, but I have a couple of people that I can talk to about these sorts of things. But yeah, it's definitely a limited resource in that aspect for sure, especially as you probably know, coming from certain private schools, there's not too many of us running around. So yeah, it's the numbers are limited for people to speak to about these things, but I mean, it is what it is. So,
right. So
we deal as we can.
Right.
But I think nowadays, I will mention, going back to my original comments about young people, I think we are doing much better about speaking about these things,
right.
Speaking about how these things affect us, especially, and in turn creating support groups and via, whether that's in person or virtually or both. I think that things are opening up now for people to speak about and be open about how they're affected by, especially this sort of stuff. And then, yeah, like I said, support groups kind of, I don't know. I don't want to speak for other people because some people may not like support groups. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's definitely limited for young Black folks to speak about this stuff.
Right. Okay. So because it's very interesting. The social media is there, the tools are there, the cell phone is there. We have so many tools now, more than ever, and yet people are not talking to each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
No question.
The tools,
either you can use it for good, or you can use it for bad.
For bad, yeah. So how do we encourage it to be used for good? I guess what you and I are doing is one of them, right?
Yeah.
Talking about it, letting other people know they are not by themselves, they are not alone. This is something that is affecting all of us. That what is happening is not, however you're feeling, it's not unique to you. Other people are feeling it too, right?
Yeah,
So
it is, but it isn't, if that makes sense. You know, your feelings are your feelings, your experience is your experience, and no one can take those things away, but you are not alone. So
you're not alone.
yeah,
You're not alone. You know, so talking more about it and not, you know, one of the topics that that I have talked to, that even some young people, including my own family, I have families scattered all over the world, and I'm very fortunate. I have a lot of young cousins, a lot of young nephews and nieces and cousins, and the topic always comes up. You know, how do we share or talk about this without feeling personalized, without feeling like we are how do you, without feeling like it's a taboo type of thing to talk about, right? So I started sharing with them, my own journey, my own story, and a lot of them had no idea. So as I opened up with them, sharing with them, then they started opening up and sharing, and finding help. And we started sharing the little tools, like you said, you get involved, you get active, you have kind of a ritual thing you do in the morning, simple things as, gosh, I woke up today, I'm grateful, especially when you turn on the TV, then you heard this person got killed, that person, and you go, wow, I am grateful. How am I going to use today to do good, since I'm alive today? So one of the things we talk about is use it day by day. Don't worry about tomorrow, but today. That way you are not, you don't get stressed out so much about tomorrow, but today. And you find out as you just take it step. Today I'm gonna do my best. Today I'm gonna do this. Today I'm gonna do that. By the end of the day, you find out
you're too tired to even care.
Exactly. Right? Then the next day you start again. That way you're living in the moment. That way you're actually enjoying the day, whether you encounter rejection or whatever, but you are in the moment of today. You're not overwhelmed by tomorrow or next tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Things, simple things like that could help. The young people, they're going, gosh, this, nothing is gonna end. How do we fix it? Well, it's by you do your best, is you taking care of you today. And I always tell them, taking care of you or doing self-care is not selfishness. It's actually, that's what you're supposed to do, because if you cannot help yourself, you can't help anybody else, right? If you
can't pour from an empty cup. So
exactly,
like you said, I think that mentality or that mindset is becoming more widespread, but it is a slow process. I mean, it's kind of like trying to fix the police. Like, you can't overdo 400 years of stuff in 20 years or 5 years, right, or even 100 years. It's going to take a lot of time for individuals, and then in turn families and businesses and organizations and schools to really adopt the mindset of what you're saying, where no one can perform at their best if they aren't feeling their best. Exactly. So it's pretty simple when you say it out loud, but a lot harder to live that out, especially like you said, every day, when things happen every day that try to throw you off. But it's important to stay within yourself, and then if you can do that, you can hopefully help others out.
Exactly. Yes. So it's taking that little step. I think a lot of times we get overwhelmed when we try to think of all the things that are happening negatively, and we have no idea how we can't stop it, but it's happening. But as long as you wake up and you go, gratitude, okay, I'm here. What can I do today? Just those little steps, and just take a deep breath, right? When it's becoming a little overwhelming, you take a pause and count up to 10. Little things like that, and you realize, okay, I can't really do much, but let me do the little, let me have a little breakfast, let me call Khayri and chat a little bit. Let me do, just little things. By the time night comes, you're so tired, you go to sleep and you continue the next day. So even though things look hopeless, and and it's not just in America now, that it's like all over the world. A lot of crazy things are happening. So if young people, can just be able to say, okay, I'll take it day by day. I'm not going to get overwhelmed. I'm not going to, yes, like you said, um, all these horrible things that are happening. The police wasn't built in one day, the discrimination didn't start in one day, but I can also one day at a time be able to smile at somebody who is different from me. I can, just one day be kinder to myself and to the next person that I'm gonna see. We can counteract a lot of these things by being good ourselves, by being kinder, by not not stooping to their level. Because I think a lot of these crazy things that are happening, a lot of these rules to ban the books, to ban the learning of the histories, is coming from a place of fear. You know, let it be their fear. It's not mine. I'm gonna. You know what I mean? It's coming from a place of fear of not being able to be in control. But who said you have to be in control? You didn't create the world.
Yeah, I'll go as far as to say I'm grateful for some of these things, because I take it as backlash. Like, they are responding to progress, and that means that progress is being made.
Right.
So again, like you said, appreciate the little things. Like, they're not going to give it up easy. So understand you're in for a fight, and just buckle up and keep fighting.
Yes.
It's not going to happen today. And even on going away from the systemic issues, like, you can't be a good son or brother or roommate or coworker or whatever it is tomorrow or next week. You have to do that today. Gotcha. So even just focus on that. Like you said, if I can just focus on being a good person today, then that is a lot. Yes. So let alone worry about all those other things. So exactly. It can be overwhelming. It is overwhelming at times, but one day at a time. So
cool. Okay, good. That makes sense, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to say now as a young person, and like I said, now that this type of conversation is acceptable, it's easy to say that. So I appreciate how far that has come as well in society, but we have a long way to go. So
we do have a long way, but we're gonna take it one day at a time, and I think if a lot of young people take that approach so that they don't get overwhelmed. My own fear is, if the young people get overwhelmed, then we will not get anything accomplished, right? Because you have to be grounded. You have to be well grounded in the sense of, yes, a lot of things are happening. A lot of them is not within your control. You didn't create most of them, but today I'm gonna take it a step at a time. I'm gonna, do the little that I can. I'll be my best person. I'll be whoever I encounter, I'll be nice to them. If they don't want to be nice, it's on them, right? And I think taking that approach will then get us grounded so that we will be able to withstand when heinous things are being thrown at us. When horrible things are coming our way, you'll be able to stand it because you're grounded. But if you're not grounded and all these things, then it will shake you to the point that you even ask, who cares? You throw in the towel, and we don't want to throw in the towel, right? We don't want to throw in the towel. We want to be here to be able to every day be grateful for that day, and the next day, and the next day, a step at a time. Make sense?
Right. I love it. Hopefully, we can keep spreading the good word.
Yes, for sure. So, I just wanted to get a little, because there are so many things I couldn't even think what topic can we talk about. When a lot of things are happening like this, it's hard to but I just wanted to touch what's happening so that then next time we can pick one topic that you like, and we can dissect that, and hopefully do more podcasts with you, just to talk about what is happening or topic of interest that you would like to talk about. Or I wouldn't even mind the music that you sent to me about your brother. I will at some point like to talk about that, if that's okay.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
Let's do it again.
Awesome. Okay, we'll do it again. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I know you worked all day and still make time to do the podcast. I do appreciate it. It may not seem like it's a big thing, but it's very important that we have conversations of what's happening, so that we don't feel alone. We don't feel like it's only happening to us. And hopefully, somebody else who is hearing it will also know that they are not alone in whatever they are going through, that this is something that most people are experiencing. But don't get overwhelmed, don't let it overtake you. Find a balance, find a way to, like you, Khayri, to be able to have little things you're doing every day. Stay active, work. If you're in school, go to school, do your work, play basketball, play sport of your interest, read books. Just do something that keeps you engaged and active, fun. If you're a creative person, do your drawing, do your music. There are so many things to do. Don't let anything overwhelm you, but keep going. Change is definitely here. That's why people are panicking. That's why they don't want things to be in the school, but I don't think they can stop it. The train has already taken off, and it's gonna keep moving. So it's either you join us, either you join the young people. I count myself as one of the people who are joining the young people in this. I'm coming with you guys. But the train has already taken off, and it's gonna keep going. So either people join the train, the change is definitely gonna be here. The America is made up of everybody, so everybody has a say. And the African American, the Black history, the story, it's not something anybody's gonna stop. It's already here, and we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna read about it. There are so many books already that are written, and next time I can share one of them. And I think one that I just found out a few days ago is called Cast. The Cast. Have you read it?
I have not read it, but I've heard about it.
Okay.
I'm aware of it.
Okay. I'm gonna read it. I haven't. I think it's an audiobook. I will definitely get it. And maybe when we talk again, we can talk about some of the books, that we can share with other people, and that deals with what we are talking about. What other, especially African American authors have written good books that give us more insight in who we are, where all these fears are coming from, and where we're going. But I think the young people is within your reach. Keep going, keep conversating, keep staying strong. Don't get overwhelmed. Take it one day at a time, step by step, and you'll be okay.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your friendship to my family. Thank you for your interest in the young person's perspective on these things. I definitely appreciate that, and I will speak for the young people in that we appreciate that. And I think, like you said, yeah, we will just keep continuing to talk about these things. And the train's already taken off from the station, so everybody get on board. Might as well.
For sure. Great. Well, thank you, Khayri, and we'll schedule another one, and we'll pick a topic of interest and talk about it. So thank you for chatting with me. Thank you for spending this time with me. Have a wonderful evening and take care of yourself. So I always say, be kind to yourself and to others, okay?
Likewise.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.